What if the reason money feels so stressful in your life isn't because you don't make enough of it? What if the real problem is something far more subtle, something no one ever sat you down to explain? Most of us grow up absorbing ideas about money without ever questioning them. We're taught, directly or indirectly, that money is about buying things. A better car, a bigger house, a nicer lifestyle. We associate money with status, comfort, and the ability to show the world that we're doing well. But what if that entire way of thinking is wrong? What if money was never meant to impress anyone at all? The truth is far simpler and far more powerful than most people realize. Money is not about luxury. It's not about flexing. It's not even about comfort in the way we usually define it. At its core, money is about freedom. It's about the freedom to wake up without panic, the freedom to say no when something doesn't feel right, and the freedom to breathe a little easier at night, knowing that one unexpected problem won't completely derail your life. Once you understand that, truly understand it, the way you save, spend, and think about money begins to change at a fundamental level. For many people, especially those in their 20s and early 30s, saving money feels almost pointless. You're just getting started in your career, your paycheck isn't very big, rent takes up a huge chunk of your income, and everything seems to cost more than it used to. When someone casually says, "Just save a little each month," it can feel almost insulting. Your mind immediately pushes back and says, "What's the point? Saving $20 or $50 isn't going to change my life. I might as well enjoy it now." That reaction is completely understandable, because saving is usually framed as delayed gratification. It sounds like giving up happiness today for a future that feels uncertain and far away. But this is where one simple mental shift changes everything. Saving money is not about sacrificing today for tomorrow. Saving money is about buying independence right now. The moment you set money aside, even a small amount, you're not delaying happiness. You're purchasing a little bit of freedom. You're buying peace of mind. You're buying the ability to sleep a bit better tonight, knowing that you have some margin. That money isn't just sitting in an account doing nothing. It's working psychologically in the present moment, giving you a sense of control that most people underestimate. Many people believe financial independence is some distant destination, a place you arrive at one day after hitting a certain income or net worth. They imagine that once they cross that invisible line, life will suddenly feel calm and secure. But that moment rarely exists. You can have millions of dollars and still feel trapped, anxious, and overwhelmed. At the same time, you can have very little money and feel relatively free. That's because independence is not a number, it's a feeling. It lives in your head, not just in your bank account. Independence exists on a spectrum. Every dollar you save moves you slightly closer to control over your life. Every dollar you spend without intention moves you slightly further away. This is why small amounts matter so much more than people think. Saving $20 doesn't change your net worth in any dramatic way, but it changes how you see yourself. It reinforces the idea that you are someone who can create space between income and expenses. And that sense of ownership over even a small part of your future creates calm. Here's something that surprises a lot of people when they finally realize it. Most people who struggle with money are not irresponsible, unintelligent, or lazy. They're simply unaware. Ask the average person how much they earn each month, and they can usually give you a rough answer. Then ask them how much they spend, and suddenly things get vague. Around this much, or I think it's about that. That vagueness is where stress comes from. Money becomes scary when it feels invisible and uncontrollable. One of the most powerful habits you can build is also one of the simplest: checking your bank balance regularly. It takes 10 seconds. There's no spreadsheet involved, no judgment, no shame, just awareness. When you know what's coming in and what's going out, money stops feeling like an enemy lurking in the background. It becomes something concrete, something you can actually manage. Awareness creates control, and control builds confidence. That confidence slowly changes your behavior without you even realizing it.
We tend to celebrate big financial milestones, like buying a house, upgrading a car, or reaching a certain income level. But some of the smartest money decisions are invisible. They're the things you don't do. The house you didn't buy before you were ready, the lifestyle upgrade you decided to postpone, the long-term commitment you avoided because it would have locked you into a life you weren't sure you wanted. For many people, especially early in life, renting isn't a sign of failure. It's a form of freedom. It gives you the flexibility to move, to change direction, and to adapt when opportunities or challenges appear. A lot of financial stress doesn't actually come from reality. It comes from expectations. Society quietly tells you where you should be by a certain age, what you should own, and how your life should look. When your reality doesn't match that timeline, it's easy to feel behind, even if you're doing just fine. Patience is often the antidote to that feeling. Careers evolve, markets move, and life rarely follows a straight line. If you give yourself time, the right opportunities tend to show up. There's a hard truth that many people avoid because it challenges common assumptions. If you earn a high income but need every dollar just to survive, you have very little independence. On the other hand, if you earn less but have savings that cover part of your life, you have options. Saving is powerful because it's relative to your expectations. Someone who needs $10,000 a month to feel satisfied will always feel pressure, while someone who can live comfortably on far less will feel rich with much smaller numbers. Some of the wealthiest moments in life don't involve large sums of money at all. For many people, the richest they've ever felt was the first time they had a few $1,000s saved. Not because it made them wealthy in a traditional sense, but because it created a sense of safety. It meant that a small emergency wouldn't instantly turn into a crisis. Over time, expectations rise, and that same amount stops feeling special. That's not just inflation at work, it's psychology. We adapt quickly to new baselines, which is why contentment requires conscious effort. One reality that almost everyone experiences at some point is that income is fragile. At some point in your life, your income will likely drop to zero. It might be due to a layoff, an illness, a recession, or something completely unexpected. It could last a week, or it could last much longer. When that moment comes, savings suddenly become the most valuable thing you own. Income depends on circumstances. Savings represent resilience. That's why savings shouldn't be treated as something optional, something you do only if there's money left over. It needs to be treated like an expense, just like rent or food, because if you wait until the end of the month, there's usually nothing left. The good news is that you don't need to save massive amounts to change your life. What matters far more than the size of your savings is consistency. Simple rules, like saving a small percentage of what you earn, work because they build identity. When you save consistently, you start to see yourself as someone who has control, even if the numbers are small. Automating this process makes it even more powerful because it removes emotion from the equation. Emotion is where many financial mistakes are born. Automation turns saving into a background habit rather than a monthly debate. If you're living paycheck to paycheck right now, it's important to hear this clearly. You are not alone, you are not broken, and you are not a failure. Millions of people are in the same position, often through no fault of their own. Shame and embarrassment don't help. What helps is understanding that change is possible, even if it starts very small. There are countless stories of ordinary people with ordinary jobs who built stability over time by being patient, saving consistently, and letting time do the heavy lifting. No genius required. Behavior matters more than brilliance. One of the most dangerous lies we're taught is the idea that happiness is always just one level of more away.
More money, more stuff, more status. But wealth isn't simply what you have. It's the gap between what you have and what you want. When that gap is wide, dissatisfaction grows. When it's narrow, life feels lighter. You can still want more and remain content, but contentment doesn't happen automatically. It requires intentional effort and perspective. Gratitude, practiced regularly, has a powerful way of shrinking that gap. Money can make life easier and, in some cases, happier, but not in the way most people expect. Used wisely, it becomes a tool for safety, flexibility, and choice. Used poorly, it turns into a never-ending scoreboard where there's always someone ahead of you. True wealth isn't your net worth. It's your ability to manage your expectations, your emotions, and your perspective. It's understanding that most people aren't paying as much attention to your financial status as you think they are. Many financial goals are driven by the desire to impress people who aren't even looking. In the end, money is just a tool. It's a tool to create safety, to protect the people you care about, and to live life on your own terms. If you take even one idea from this, whether it's saving a little consistently, lowering your expectations slightly, or stopping the habit of constant comparison, you're already moving forward. Not toward more money, but toward more freedom. And that freedom, more than any number on a screen, is the real goal. See you in the next one.